Ground-shaking fear and a wave of panic in Indonesia. You see it on the faces of these people, and imagine what it must have felt like. For 4 full minutes, a powerful earthquake rocked the South Asian country, swaying streets and buildings, triggering a tsunami threat and sending thousands running for higher ground. This is some of the newest video we have coming into us from Banda Aceh in Indonesia. You'll remember that name. It was the very same area, Aceh province, hit by that catastrophic quake and tsunami in 2004. This quake rocked much of the Indian Ocean region, shaking buildings in Malaysia, being felt in Singapore, Thailand, India, and Bangladesh. Johanna Wagstaff is our meteorologist and also seismologist, and she is joining me now and leading our coverage of this morning. 4:38 Eastern, the initial reports came into us, so that puts us about 2 hours, 15 minutes in terms of we're into the story. It's still very much in flux, but what's the latest we have this hour?
Well, we're getting some new reports in. So you're right, just over 2 hours old. 8.6 magnitude has been revised from the USGS. I imagine we're going to continue to potentially see revisions, but this is a great earthquake, and it is the tsunami that we're concerned about. I just put on the fault line quickly. It is the India plate subducting under the Eurasia plate, but it looks like this was a strike-slip fault, and I'll talk more about that later, but that means horizontal movement under the water rather than vertical. That being said, the tsunami is the main concern. I've got a graphic showing you the arrival times.
Let's just as you talk about this, what we're hearing from Reuters and again from a witness, and because the tsunami is the concern, is that the seawater near the epicenter of this quake, on the island near the epicenter of this quake, has been seen to be receding, Joe, by about 10 meters.
Okay.
So that is what we see before a tsunami wave. That doesn't indicate how big the wave will be coming, but that's that pullback before the water comes in that flow of energy, isn't it? That's that wave,
this
literally
is a concern. Exactly. Yeah, this is once we get any sort of displacement under the water, it doesn't matter necessarily which way the water is being displaced. You do get this sort of sucking of the waves to fill in the hole that the displacement has created, and so that is one thing that we watch for along the coastlines, is this receding of the water. And I'm just seeing this now too, these reports of receding waves along the Sumatra coast, and actually this does line up with the arrival times, the first arrival times forecasted by the Pacific Tsunami Center. So this receding of the wave would line up with the initial wave time, which is in about 20 minutes.
Okay, we've already had reports of a 17-centimeter high wave arriving on the coast. You've been making clear all through the morning, just because it's a small wave of 17 centimeters, that doesn't indicate that that's it. That can also often portend what is to come, even greater waves.
Exactly, yeah. These are just initial times for the first wave. A tsunami generates a series of waves, anywhere from 5 minutes to 1 hour in between these series of waves. So we're just talking about the first wave right now, and the Pacific Tsunami Center is saying, and we are confirming it with sea readings, that a tsunami was generated. We're just now starting to realize if it's of damaging size.
So again, just into us reports from a witness who's been speaking to Reuters news agency that the seawater on one of the islands near the epicenter of this quake has been seen to be receding by about 10 meters. And as we look at the pictures as Johanna and I speak, you see the kind of chaos. You see people who've been gathering in mosques in Aceh looking for comfort, praying, seeking safety, obviously, as well, because they well remember what happened just over 8 years ago, 2004, the tsunami preceded by the earthquake, and 230,000 people were killed in that disaster, most of whom lived in this region of the world. So they're very much concerned, and the aftershocks continue. But make a comparison if you can, because this is immediately drawing our attention. We think about Banda Aceh, we think about 2004.
You're right. And speaking of aftershocks, quickly before we go in there, I'm just seeing alerts. There may have been an aftershock as large as 8.0. This is not official. I'm just hearing reports from other fellow seismologists. 8.0. So not only are we worried about this initial tsunamis generated by aftershocks, also a concern. And as you mentioned, everyone feeling this shaking hundreds of kilometers from the epicenter. So people know something is happening. So not only is this tsunami farther off the coast by about 200 kilometers, comparing it to the 2004, it's also slightly shallower. We are still modifying the depth. Anywhere, the latest reports I've seen, potentially 22 to 32 kilometers, but it does look to be shallower. Farther off the coast and about 4 times less strong.
Okay, and again, just back to the graphic that you have up here, this strike-slip fault, this horizontal movement.
Horizontal movement.
As opposed to what we had in 2004.
Which is a thrust fault. So this is a vertical displacement. This is the most dangerous kind for tsunamis, where the water is pushed upwards. Strike-slip, it would have been moved horizontally. That doesn't mean we can't see the effects of a tsunami, but that is the major difference between this one and the 2004.